Hi, I'm Dr. Guillermo Escalante, and thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel once again. If you joined us a couple of weeks ago for really the first official posting for my channel, I did a 20-day fat loss challenge eating fast food. And you saw the 6-minute video summarizing the effects of eating fast food 3 times a day and how through maintaining a caloric deficit and containing enough protein in the diet, we were able to lose a significant amount of weight in the video. But I wanted to emphasize one component of that is that I'm in no way advocating that eating a fast food diet is a healthy way to go or is the best way to go. Really, it was an exaggeration to show that it is possible to lose weight and body fat while eating fast food regularly, because it's important to consider calories in and calories out. Ultimately, that is what dictates whether you're going to lose fat or gain fat in any type of program that you're on. So really, again, I'm going to emphasize that I do actually advocate a much healthier diet with consisting of whole foods, primarily more vegetables, maybe some fruits, maybe less processed carbohydrates. These are definitely better sources, and you're probably going to feel better, and it's going to be a lot cheaper on your budget as well. So it'll be more sustainable in the long run. But going on to today's video, I want to talk about determining your energy expenditure. So we're going to talk about calories in and calories out, and how do we go about doing that. So there are several things that we want to discuss. The first one here is the calories out component, which is your total daily energy expenditure. And there are several components that make up. The first one is your BMR, which stands for your basal metabolic rate. This is the amount of calories that you burn essentially just at rest. So in science, there's actually a subtle difference between basal metabolic rate and resting metabolic rate or resting energy expenditure, because it's the way that they're calculated. But for the purposes of this video, we're gonna say that they're basically the same thing. The differences are somewhat negligible. So we're gonna use BMR here as our acronym for this component. Now it's gonna make up roughly about 60 to 70% of your total daily energy expenditure. And this is just the amount of calories that your body burns while at rest, basically just for you to live. It's for your brain to function, for you to be able to breathe, for your heart to beat, and to be able to maintain all of the essential components that are critical for life. So your liver still has to work, your kidneys still have to work, your heart still has to pump, you still have to breathe, and all those require energy, and that energy comes from the calories that we consume. So a large percentage of everything that we burn actually comes from your basal metabolic rate. Now, a few things influence that. For example, your age, hormones, if you're male or you're female, if you exercise or you don't exercise, if you're eating more or eating less, those are all going to influence your basal metabolic rate, which we'll get to in a little bit later part of the slide. Now, muscle is more metabolically active than fat, and that's important to remember. It's not as much as we like to think. You maybe have heard in some fitness circles that muscle burns 50 times more than fat. Well, that's actually not true. 1 pound of muscle burns roughly plus or minus 6 calories per day, and then a pound of fat only burns about 2 calories per day. So you do the math. It is slightly more metabolically active, but basically if you gain an extra 10 pounds of muscle, you may be able to eat an extra 50 or 60 calories a day. It's not a whole lot. The other component here is NEAT. This stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, this sounds like a really big word, but basically this is your activities of daily living. It's things that are not exercise, but things that require you to move. So basically you have to get out of bed, you're gonna have to go take a shower, you're gonna have to maybe cook your meals, you're gonna have to walk to your car, walk to your office, go upstairs, go downstairs, go grocery shopping, brush your teeth. All of these are non-exercise activity, thermogenesis activities. Now, things such as walking your dog, maybe doing extra shopping at the mall, those are not really considered exercise. They're really more considered non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, if they're on a lower intensity type of exercise intensity. So this is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which actually plays a big part of your total daily energy expenditure. People often underestimate the importance of NEAT, but very often as we start to lose weight or we're maybe starting an exercise program, we think, oh, we exercise more, so maybe we're gonna move a little bit less. So really, it's important during meet to actually increase your overall activity level and stay active throughout the day. And again, it means maybe taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator. While you're listening to music in the car, maybe bop your head a little bit, maybe fidget a little bit more. These are basic activities that our bodies tend to do less of when we're in a sustained caloric deficit. The next important part of total daily energy expenditure is known as the TEF. So the thermogenic effect of food is basically the amount of calories required for you to basically break down the food that you're eating. So there's an energy cost to consuming food. Unfortunately, fat has a very low energy cost. Only about 2 to 3% of the calories you eat from fat are going to be burned. Conversely, protein has a very high thermogenic effect for food. Roughly 20 to 30% of the calories that you eat from protein are actually going to be burned for processing. And carbohydrates are in the middle, somewhere around 5 or 10%. So the thermogenic effect of food is really important to consider as your total daily energy expenditure. And by definition, but naturally by eating less per day, so when you're in a caloric deficit, the less you eat, the lower your thermogenic effect of food, because you're in fact eating less calories. This is also why it's important to consume a higher protein content, because of the higher TEF of protein will actually basically require more calories to burn to process that protein. The last component is the exercise. So exercise is very important for us to do, but it doesn't play as big a part in the total daily energy expenditure as many people think. People that spend a large percentage of their total daily energy expenditure from exercise would be those that are doing marathon training, triathlon training, but really other people, their exercise activity is really not that much. Even myself training, say an hour to an hour and a half, 4 or 5 days a week, my exercise component of my total daily energy expenditure is a pretty small percentage of my overall total daily energy expenditure. So this is really important to consider in the calories out part of the equation. Now let's talk about the calories in part of the equation, because this is basically all calorie containing foods and drinks. So anything that has a calorie, you need to take into account with this. Now all of these are very commonly underestimated, and there are several reasons why. One is maybe you're unaware of the portions. You don't know how big a portion is, and therefore you're not basically taking into account how much of it you're eating. So one example of this might be, a Gatorade bottle. It may say that it's got 2 servings for a 32-ounce bottle, and you drink the whole bottle. Well, you think that that's 1 serving, but that's really 2 servings. Or ice cream is actually a better one. Ben & Jerry's ice cream, a pint of that ice cream is actually 4 servings. A lot of people think that that whole pint is actually 1 serving, but that whole pint is 4 servings, which is really over 1,000 calories from that ice cream. So that's unaware of your portions. The second thing is you're not counting the little things. So the little things might be things such as spreads, maybe things such as dressings, maybe things such as beverages, maybe the little bites that you eat from maybe your coworker's plate or your coworker's bag. Maybe you have a handful of potato chips. These are the little things that you're not counting that can actually heavily contribute to your overall calorie intake. Maybe you're also unaware of how food is prepared. So again, many foods, particularly in restaurants, are made in oils or butters, and these are going to definitely add more calories to your intake that you might not be aware of. Lastly, yes, you might not be measuring the intake accurately. So for example, you might think that a serving, you might be measuring out 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, for example, and instead of measuring out 2 tablespoons, which should weigh 32 grams, you actually use the tablespoons, and when you actually weigh it, you're actually consuming maybe double or triple the amount of what you thought. So what you thought was 190 calories in 2 tablespoons might actually come out to be more than double that by weight, because by weight, 2 tablespoons is 32 grams. And when you measure it and eyeball it, you might be inaccurately measuring the 2 tablespoons and actually consuming more food than you're supposed to. Now, all of these calories are going to be affected by your stress or your anxiety. So oftentimes if you're stressed, if you're anxious, you might want to be eating more, which is going to not help your calories in component. The environment that you're in is going to also play a part. Maybe you're in an environment with a party or with an office party, a home party, birthday party, and that's going to be an environment where people are maybe drinking, or maybe people are going to be eating foods that are high in calories. Peer and family pressure are very important as well, because that can influence what you eat. Maybe you don't have that support, and therefore you're going to be eating more. Your hormones are going to also play a big part in the calories in component. Sometimes certain hormones will actually make you want to crave food, and the more you diet, the more those hormones play a part. Next to maybe your mood. Maybe you're depressed, maybe you're happy, and therefore you eat more. So a lot of things influence your calories in. So even though in the surface, calories in and calories out seem very simple, really it's a very complex scenario. So at the top here of the glacier, we have the calories in, calories out. But you can see all of these hormones, for example, ghrelin, leptin, insulin, all of these can actually increase your hunger. So as ghrelin levels increase, leptin levels decrease, insulin levels decrease, you'll become more hungry. Also, your thyroid hormones, as they start to decrease, they're actually going to decrease your basal metabolic rate, which is obviously not good for your calories out part of the equation. If you decrease testosterone, increase cortisol, decrease your estrogen levels, those are going to potentially also impact your basal metabolic rate. You might also lose muscle mass. Your ability to break down fat is going to be impeded. So there's a lot of complicated things under the surface that ultimately are going to maybe decrease your basal metabolic rate, decrease your fat-free mass, which will in turn decrease your basal metabolic rate, increase your hunger. Decrease food means you're going to have a lower thermogenic effect of food, as we mentioned earlier. And also as you lose weight, because you're lighter, you're going to have a decreased total daily energy expenditure. So when you weigh 300 pounds, you're going to burn more calories throughout the day than when you weigh 250 pounds. And when you exercise in those two different body weights, you're going to burn less calories. So at the end of the day, our bodies are influenced really to conserve energy and to eat more, which makes weight loss very difficult to accomplish. So thank you once again for joining me. Please follow continue to follow me on my YouTube channel. Please like, comment, and leave any suggestions or anything you'd like to see in the near future. And feel free to follow me on Instagram at Dr. GFit. And thank you so much. We'll see you in the future for another lesson.